What a Monday. The big conversation is right here. Thank you so much for choosing Look Up Television for the updated stories that are coming on your way. Ladies and gentlemen, across the weekend we've had so much debate, including the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, Kuru at the Kong, and of course there's so much in line towards the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Is it independent? And of course, do you think that they are clowns just for the government? Even as we embrace that, there is also a conversation in as far as the protesters in the 2025 Maandamano, and of course protests that we witnessed across the country, and it's creating chaos and menace. But there is also an aspect on shoot in the leg, which is now a satire rather than a serious thing, that many Kenyans are believing that this is just a voice of control. Do you think it's worth it coming from the heads of state? What is your perception on the same? Later on in the discussion, of course, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be joined in by Maobe Victor, CIC, the Kenya Economic Freedom Fighters, will be joining us in a few. But right about now, we have the Honorable Sibor himself will be helping us understand the context on what is happening right here in the Republic. And of course, even as we delve into the state of the nation, there is also an aspect to consider about Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, and of course also in the initiation of Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka, and the divided ends on ODM party. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're joining us for the first time, this is Monday, the 14th of July, 2025, and of course we're embracing the big conversation just to understand the limelight on what is happening right here in the spaces, political spaces, and the Republic. What have we got to say on the state of the nation? But our big conversations right now this morning is the government's decision. Across the divide, we've had protesters, of course, including the police, that now are facing the danger of their lives and, of course, their safety due to the fact that they believed that the government would have protected them. But things are turning aside. What will be your view on how the government makes its decision right here in the Republic? What is your opinion? Remember, you can share with us your comments live on Facebook and YouTube. Use the hashtag The Big Conversation, and of course use the hashtag The Morning Drift. My name is Master Sketch. Roll with us till the end of time. My director is Sarah. Karibu sana kiongozi. It's nice to see you once more. I believe your weekend was nice. How was it?
Good morning. It was a good weekend.
Indeed.
Really interact with people based on issues that affect the country. And once more, I want to welcome our viewers wherever they are. It's just good to come together, have a conversation so that we may have a better country in the future.
All right. All right. First things first, of course, before we get to what I told you earlier about shooting the leg, what will be your perception on the government's making decision?
It's unfortunate the government's making their decisions on the road, not well articulated, not well perceived by the reality in place. And I think this revolution movement started by the GNC has never sink well in their minds. And therefore, or of course, if it does sink well in their mind, then they are perceived it with a lot of anger and a lot of emotion. It has triggered their emotion and are making them to make the decisions along the road, even statements along the road. So the government is an entity that runs the state. They don't ought to make the decision along the road. They not to heckle their statement when they are giving statements, because people look into the government to give a proper direction, to give leadership, and also to it's a symbol of unity to the state. So if the head of state goes to a function and is full of anger and is full of emotions, and end up coming with a statement that can bring a blood shed in the country, can divide the country, can bring war in the country, can even fuel the revolution in the country, then that is something that we cannot take it just for granted. We need to ask a lot of questions. That shoot the leg, then take them to the hospital, and then take them to the court. Medically, I saw the owner of Karen Hospital try to explain why medically it's not right, and it can lead to death very fast. When you maim somebody at the leg, because actually you lose a lot of blood. So there's a lot of things that we need to ask. If the government has lost direction at the end of the day, if they had lost the direction, why should we even wait for this government to be in power 2027? And what are you waiting for? These people are not going to be there in 2027 if you are shooting them in the leg and you're losing blood and you're killing them because you don't want to sit down with them. You didn't want to not even sitting down. At least articulate issues that the agencies are raising. One, extrajudicial killing.
Indeed.
Why do you want to go for referendum? Why do you need to have a dialogue on the extrajudicial killing? Why do you want to have a dialogue on abduction? Why do you want to have a dialogue for you to stop corruption? Why do you have a dialogue for the university model system to work? Why do you have to have a dialogue for schools to be built, infrastructure? Why do you want to have as Kenyan to have a dialogue of you spending 12.4 billion for the State House and spending 888 millions to renovate State House? Why? Why should we have a dialogue for you not to reduce the cost of traveling as a head of state? Why do you have a dialogue for us to for you to increase the capitation of our children going to school? Why should we have a dialogue? We don't need to have a dialogue. We need to have a visionary leadership for these things to be articulated, for Kenyan to realize this state is all of us. We need it. We need to live a better state. We need to have a better security system, judicial system, institutions working. We don't need a dialogue for that.
All right. Thank you so much for the first opinions. I'm seeing Mobe Victor, CIC, Kenya Economic Freedom Fighters. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you? Kwa salama? It's nice to have you, sir. You came when we were discussing about articulation and, of course, the perception on the government making decisions right in the Republic. What will be your view? Sibura has at least started us off with articulation, bringing things to reality in the clear manner, that the government now wants to respond to everything, but in a more upper manner. What will be your take on the same?
Thank you, Moses. First, thank you for having me.
All right.
My opinion is that we've lost it as a country. Our leadership is not clear about what they want to deliver to the people. They have a mandate, and they need to understand that the future of this country solely lies in their hands. When the state makes decisions based on emotions, they're actually reactionary decisions, it's really worrying to us as the people of the country. For instance, we've seen lately, we've had demonstrations, and the demonstrations were infiltrated, and we will not be scared to say that we suspect the infiltrators were hired by the government so that they can make and paint the demonstrations not to be peaceful. But the Constitution guarantees us the freedom and rights to demonstrate, to picket, and to present petitions before authorities. So, Moses, if you can go back, we know that issues brought people to the streets on June 25th, or even before June 25th, in 2024. And people came out with messages. You could see people carrying placards, you could see people marching, you could see a very peaceful demonstration. And they came out with issues. They said, no, we don't want this finance bill to go through. The president and the leadership of the country ignored that. Actually, they were forced by the invasion of parliament, the occupation of parliament in June 25th to concede. Right now, we have a member of parliament from, I think, Baringo. He's trying to say that we will now make it 4 terms, not even 1 term. We will make it 4 terms. We will give him 20 years. These kind of utterances are what that fuel the anger among Kenyans. And the leadership has lost track. Instead of delivering what they're supposed to deliver to the people, they're actually trying to prove to the people that leadership is a way of, it's a shortcut to getting wealthy and gaining power and ruling over other people. So I really disagree with that.
All right. So Kenyans have to come to a point where they are tired of this drama in politics. I think the time is here for people to get some work done, and if people are really looking to get some work done, honestly, I'm the guy to get things fixed. That is Fred Matiang'i, of course, who made a statement yesterday in regards to the same. And when we're looking at that perspective, when we're embracing the fact that there's a decision that the government is making at this point in time, do you think the involvement in making statements, in coming to the podium and pouring themselves out to make bold statement is a sign of showcasing authority?
When you start failing in life, you start blaming your neighbor or your cousin or your mom or the government has not accepted the reality. This is a government that made almost 214 promises that they will deliver to Kenyans. So far, is only 14 has been made. That's 1.5% delivered.
Indeed.
Out of 214 promises were made. And most of these protests are based on, anchored on the basis, on principle
Indeed.
of these promises not being articulated. This is a government, if I mention a few, this is a government that came to power and said, we'll stop extrajudicial killing. Riviera will be ceased to exist in our history. This will make sure that the NHIF, which now is unsure, the contribution will be 300. Right now is 500 plus. This is a government that say that the police, their welfare will be catered for. Their welfare, they will be able to, the salary increment, we'll have the best education model, we'll have stop corruption, we'll have a better system working, and all that. We'll have the agriculture and all that. Well, the first thing the government came sold for people Kenya for fake fertilizer, which was purely sand. And actually people lost a lot of money on that. That scandal. This is a government that now we're losing our children every day. This is a government that does not respect the rule of law. And I'm telling you now, you start blaming, that's why now those reckless kind of statements are coming out. Because the government have lost direction. The government cannot sit and say now, okay, where did you lose it? Where has the rain started beating us? What is the problem?
Do you think they're not sitting? Do you think they're not sitting down to...
You know, you can't sit if you're ready, you know, if you ignore the reality. You only sit and articulate the reality if you already accept that this is the truth. The Kenyans children, most of them are graduates, they don't have jobs, and many of them are jobless. Number two, it's true that the security sector are misusing, their abusing power by killing people, abduction, torture, extrajudicial killing. They are not respecting institutions, and they're given the mandate to serve the people. So the head of state, they have already take over the parliament, all these institutions that we need, they're able to work on the law so that the Kenyan people can have to live in a better, get a better country at the end of the day. So they cannot, I do believe, the president and the head, as the head of state and the government, entire government, they are not taking this problem seriously because they ignore. If your CS comes to the public and say shoot to kill, you need to call. I see, if you look at what's happening in South Africa right now, one of the police commissioner, Namanzi, said the people who are in the government are the people extracting the insecurity in South Africa. The president had a meeting in Brazil. I had to stop the meeting, the conference, and to come back to South Africa. And right now, as I speak, the police commissioner, the CS of the police, the minister of the police is almost going home. It's a matter that's being taken seriously. Here in Kenya, the CS come and say shoot to kill. This is even against the international law, even the Bible. It's against God teaching, against the commandment. Shoot to kill. What has the government done? The president, 2 weeks later, the president come and now shoot to kill on the same concept but in a different way. Shoot at the leg. When you shoot at the leg, medically, the doctors will tell you, you are killing this person instantly. There's nothing, you are not saving life here because you can bleed a lot of blood. So the government must accept the reality for them to show the direction, accept the reality, and then they can now articulate issues that are affecting Kenya. Why are we going to the street?
And reality is at hand now. Maube, I'd like to hear your opinion, of course, on shooting the leg.
Shooting the leg, you know, we have a very... It's a very disturbing statement from a president, a head of state. The number one role of a government is to protect lives and property. So giving permission for someone to shoot and kill, that means that the police have been overpowered by the people. You know, why can't you arrest these people and present them before court if at all you know that these are infiltrators to the demonstrations? Besides that, when did you last see this country where the police escort demonstrators and make sure that infiltrators are arrested? We saw government hiring goons. You know, the president did not speak about goons, you know, especially, you know, we even saw goons take selfies during the demonstrations when people were demonstrating about Albert Ojwang, the death of Albert Ojwang in a police cell. The president never even talked about that in the first place. So we have a government that is trying to instill fear, and they're trying to kill the unity and the, you know, the vigor that Kenyans have.
And they have succeeded.
You know,
they've succeeded in getting us to fear.
You know, I want to make a statement here. You know, if the finance bill fail, you know, if the finance bill fail and the president conceded, that showed that the supreme power belongs to the people.
Indeed.
You know,
Indeed.
this is just a calm before a storm. We have issues that have not been addressed in this country, and the president is not keen about addressing such issues.
All right.
That is just like lighting fire and then placing a blanket on it and expecting it to go off.
Can't.
It cannot go off. The president needs to understand that Kenyans, the current era is not the past era.
Indeed.
People have issues, especially economic issues that must be addressed. So he cannot instill fear through abductions, through silencing those who are at the forefront. Kenyans are watching him, you know.
If they're watching, Bobby, do you think indeed the government has been successful? Of course, because people fear getting shot in the leg.
You know, being successful does not mean that people fearing to go to the streets. Kenyans will invent other ways of demonstrating.
Which kind of ways?
Right now, I think MPs are going to have visitors in their homes. That is what I'm seeing right
Indeed.
now.
All right. Do you think that will be the solution, of course, to make sure that we have an enrichment?
It is not a solution per se, but Kenyans are also trying to retaliate. Because if we are coming with violence, what do we come with?
Indeed.
We are trying to be non-violent as we can, but you are trying to force us to be violent. We don't want to be violent, and in fact, even by visiting MPs, you don't visit them to go and cause violence in their homes. You just go as visitors and sit down and tell them, let us have a conversation.
All right.
Now that you people are out of touch with us, can we create this space so that we can discuss issues? The president needs to listen to the people. The voice of the people is the voice of God. So if he's disregarding the voice of the same people who elected him into that position, then he's disregarding the God that he claims to be serving and building a church of 1.2 billion at State House.
All right.
Okay, let me add something.
Okay.
If you want to know that the president have touched in reality, the opposition has got the right to campaign because they have nothing to offer Kenya.
Okay.
But the government has something to offer Kenya administratively, economically, financially, everything. Because the growth and development and sustainability. This is the government who promised people a lot of things.
Indeed.
Right now, the government has joined the song of the opposition. You know, I understand somebody was saying, Uhuru went for 10 years, Kibaki went for 10 years, Moi went for 24 years. We are not going to go give Ruto 10 years simply because Uhuru went for 10 years. We are going to give Ruto 10 years simply because he delivered what he promised Kenyans. Because he's a visionary leader, because he's someone who listens to Kenyans when they have problems. We are not going to give him 10 years because Uhuru went for 10 years. We are not going to give him 10 years because he had issues with the Kikuyus. No. You know, they are now changing the tactics. They are saying these are tribal issues. There's a certain tribe who want them out of power. There's Uhuru went for 10 years. He must go for 10 years. We are not going to give him 10 years because Uhuru went for 10 years. We are not going to give him 10 years because the Kikuyus has a problem with him. In fact, he should not even say the Kikuyu has a problem with him because Kikuyu knew him. He banned them during the Kiamba's church and all that. But they still went ahead and voted for him. So those issues are neither here and there. William Ruto and his government should go back into the drawing board and sit and say, where is the problem? If indeed there's a problem, how do we sort the problem? How do we move out from here? He need to listen to the people. He need to listen to the people. That is what we want, and articulate issues that people want to be articulated. We want to see a government that brings development, sustainability, performance. We want to see a better country.
Indeed. In decision making, of course, from the government, the head of state was called MARD, and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI, summoned Naivasha lawmaker Jane Kihara over alleged remarks deemed to undermine the authority of an armed public officer. In a notice signed by Assistant Inspector General George Lenikisaka, the agency directed Kihara to appear at DCI headquarters along Kiambu Road in Nairobi, of course today now, at least at 10:30. Of course, there is a couple of minutes later. The summons served on Friday for investigations into alleged dissemination of insightful or disruptive content believed to contravene Section 132. And if you look at that statement, there is so much effort towards that, and that brings us now to the alignment of decision making when the government now is involved. Do you think there is also lack of prioritization when it comes now to administrative, as Sibora had mentioned earlier, that the fact that now they have the sense of authority, but there's so many things to handle except things that do not align to the position of growth in the country?
I've said that the government have lost direction, Akech. Why should you summon Jane Kihara, the Naivasha MP, to appear before the DCI in Kiambu Road. Yet Nelson Koech just said, and with a lot of anger, emotions in the public, that me, I'm not saying here, shoot to kill, take them to the city mortuary and dump them there. It was very categorical. Why is not being summoned? CS Murkomen, somebody we thought that is upright, it's very intelligent and can be able to move Kenya to the next level. Say shoot to kill. Why has he not been summoned? Why even it's called the National Integration and Cohesion? I've never called them in the offices. The other day we heard that the land here in Ngong Road is being grabbed by the powerful figure from the State House. Why are these people not being summoned? The forest lands were being grabbed. Why are they not being summoned? The government is just playing with us. Those are just diversionary tactics to let Kenyan feel that their issues are being tackled. The government need to tackle the issues. We have mentioned the issues. You have mentioned the issues. The government need to tackle. Those are just those stories of neither Jane Kihara mentioned the government. Those are just issues are neither here nor there. We need to do things that Kenyans are asking us to do. Those are just playing around with our mind. And
of course, speaking about engagement, Mobi, you'd mentioned earlier about let's get to these people to have an engagement, to have a conversation. And of course, you understand that the context of dialogue now is way far ahead that we cannot even contemplate. What will be your understanding on the fact that there is this summons? I asked earlier that do you think the government has lost the space of prioritization when it comes to matters that matters to the common mwananchi?
That is weaponization of government institutions. And the problem we have in this country is that institutions are not independent. They've not been independent before, but right now it's on another level, you know. The DCI has been weaponized against those voices that are...
By the government or by the president?
By the government. We cannot actually say by the government, but by figures in government, because, you know, government is so broad. And, if we allow our institutions to be weaponized to settle political scores, then it simply means that we don't have a country. We want to go back to the dictatorial era where one person pulls the shots and tells you, do this, and do that. You know, the orders from above effect, and we've seen what it has been able to do. Our institutions need to be empowered, and they need to run independently. The other day we saw the Kenya Human Rights Commission, goons attacked them. None has been summoned, you know. No one has been called to write a statement or anything. But when an MP makes a remark and says that the president is a madman, you know, he's summoned. Being a mad person, you know, it's possible that maybe he's mad. Maybe he's just a medical doctor who can prove this guy is really okay, because the things he's doing are really contrary to what the people expect him to. So weaponizing those institutions, you know, power is like a pendulum. Today it's here, tomorrow it will be on the other side. We saw William Ruto cry during his time when he was the deputy president. He was claiming that Matiang'i was, you know, using institutions to harass him. He was even on record telling Uhuru, please don't come after my children. Don't kill my children. You know? So if this regime goes home and the next regime comes, they've already set ground for weaponization of government institutions. Some people might come for them also to settle political scores, and that is not where we need to go as a country. All we need is that the institution need to be independent. They need to act with high level of professionalism. The DCI has a very bad name right now in the country. They were even contemplating changing it. I don't know whether it's really necessary. So the DCI needs to understand that the security of Kenyans are at stake. Their job is actually to identify the abductors, not to be the people, to use the resources that they have, you know, and the information they have of each and every individual Kenyan to trace them and to abduct them. You know, we have a lady who died in Nanyuki police station. Julie. You know, Julie was I don't know whether it's an abduction or an arrest, because he died in a police cell. you know.
Okay.
It's just that it did not come to the limelight early enough so that Kenyans could make noise.
All right, so Maobe, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are joined in by Maobe Victor, our able CIC Kenya economic freedom fighters, and of course, we have our able base political analyst Sibor Juma helping us understand the context on what is happening right in the Republic. And of course, Kihara says that the days of intimidating leaders using the criminal justice system are long gone. Summoning me to DCI headquarters tomorrow will not change Kenyans. That is today rather, resolve, because this is not about Jane Kihara but about the country Kenya. When we come back after this break, we'll be having an understanding on Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, Ekuru at the Kong, and of course the broader perspective on what is happening right here in the Republic. Don't go too far. This is the Morning Drift. Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasi wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hawa sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi manzi.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
if you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
But you do not know the God who has been molding me. What has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying.
You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Look Up TV. Start your day with a workout routine, an exciting moment of exercise that is simple but powerful for your ultimate fitness. Build your strength, shape and body muscles with lunges, push-ups, squats, burpees, planks, dumbbells and more. Let's work out every Monday to Saturday from 6:30 a.m. on Fitness Zone, a one surefire way to attack your fitness regimen effectively.
Past 9 a.m. Thank you so much for continuing to watch this television. Look Up Television. Right here we are at the base headquarters in Nairobi. Remember when Kenya's President Ruto disrespected Kenyans, the youth organized themselves without any political party's leadership and took to the streets. Now Cyril Ramaphosa has disrespected us to the core. Now of course the people power, as well as now Sifuna says that Ruto keeps telling us how the police service is independent. How come he is now ordering them to shoot protesters? So there is a context of concern. Before we went for a break, of course Mobi was embracing something, but allow us to shift to Sibor. The perception on this arrest. You mentioned something about why are so many people not arrested despite the fact they make disturbing statements right to the heart of the public?
Yeah, because these people are being protected from the highest the authority in the land. They're being protected by the head of state. They're being protected by the government. And the government is abroad. But these are people who are being protected by the government. I've said, William Kamket, when the past demonstration was planned, William Kamket said categorically that if they bring Turkana all the way from Pokot and Turkana to come to Nairobi and deal with the protesters, he has never recorded a statement. He has never been arrested anyway. I'm waiting to see if he's being arrested. We see the CS Murkomen saying that now shoot to kill, an order to shoot to kill. He has never recorded any statement. This against the international law, against human rights, against even in religious perspective, our tradition and culture. You cannot wish somebody death in an inhumane manner. He has never been arrested. I saw Nelson Koech in a gathering, in a political rally or maybe in function in Bomet, uttering a statement when he was full of anger and all that. Then the president come and make a conclusion now. Don't shoot them on the head, but now shoot them on the leg, which is still summarized and confirming the shoot to kill statement. By you shooting someone at the leg, you are totally maiming the someone, making somebody to die in a very bad, inhumane kind of death. So why are these people not recording a statement? So because they are being protected by the authority. These are what the authority think, and they discuss at night. They come out in public to utter such statements.
All right, when we embrace that as well, Mabu, your view on the same as far as the government's decision is concerned. We were talking about independency, and of course, so many people that have been to the government or given spaces to the government seems to be not independent, including the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission that is now taking charge in the space.
The process starts with the application for those positions, and then it comes to the appointment and the appointing authority. Most appointments have been made based on the political affiliations. We've seen the IBC. There was a case at the High Court questioning about the court orders that had been ignored in the appointment of the current IBC board. But they were ignored also. But later on, they've been sworn in. Now the IBC is fully functional. My quest to Kenyans is that let us obey the rule of law. Let us not obey individuals. Because in the end, these individuals are immortal. They might be here today, they might not be there tomorrow. The rule of law will catch up with you. So we are losing trust in the government institutions. And I wonder what actually is happening in the if this is what is happening at the highest level of decision making in the country, you wonder what is happening in the other institutions. Nowadays, can you even trust, you go to a public hospital to receive treatment, can you really have trust that you'll come out of it, treated and well? So this is really degrading the national values that we have. And what we've been taught all through school, the independence of institutions and the well-being of our country. Politics is playing a center stage. When in June 20, when Kenyans came together, they came together despite across all the political divide, as you mentioned, and they came together based on issues, during the demonstrations that have now brought all this that we are seeing today. If you look at Denzel Omondi, is Luo. When you look at Rex Masai, he comes from a different tribe. We have the list goes on and on. Kenyans were brought together by issues. What the ruling regime wants to do is to divert people from issues. They're trying to sell the tribal narrative so that they can divide the people. But I want to tell Kenyans, this is our country. Whether you say this is our thief, this is our leader, you're trying to protect them. The bank account will read his name and maybe next of kin as his siblings, children, and so on. It will never read a tribe. We have both rich and poor coming from the same tribe. So we should not accept to be divided. We should stand together. We should come up with a vision on how we want this country to move forward. But this is a very good gesture that Kenyans are ready for a new Kenya. And this is actually the entry point of the economic liberation struggle. The other day I was telling Raila Odinga, Raila has fought for this country. We have to agree to that. He's fought, he gave his life, he was jailed for 9 years and so on. All that, it was part of the struggle. He came out, He has outlived his generation or mission.
Indeed.
It's now for him to hand over the baton to this generation, because this generation is here to champion for economic liberation.
Indeed.
And in the champion for economic liberation, there is no tribe, there is no religion, you know, there is no socioeconomic standards. We all want policies that work for each and every one of us.
Indeed.
Actually, they have to accept that the time for revolution has come.
Indeed.
And this revolution is going to be championed by the young people. The young people who have been left behind for so many years. The young people are the people who are suffering in this country. They are the bigger number in this country. And there will be no religion, there will be no region, there will be no tribe. These people will work together for us to see a better country. A better country where there's sustainability, there's development, there's change in terms of education system, judicial system, the institutions is working, the rule of law is being respected. That's what this revolution is going to champion for.
Indeed. Yeah. All right. As a champion for that as well, yesterday there's an engagement, of course. Dr. Miguna is really trending, criticizes clones in the government, such as IEBC chair. And of course, IEBC tells politicians to stop eroding electoral confidence among Kenyans. In a statement, of course, they issued, reading on X, that was a couple of hours ago, 15 hours maybe. The commission is concerned about statements on election malpractices in the country. Such utterances are unacceptable and reckless in a democratic society such as ours, and IEBC urges all Kenyans to ignore or disassociate themselves with those kind of statements. IEBC assures members of the public and stakeholders that it shall safeguard its independence and impartiality while discharging its constitutional mandate. What will be your view on that?
Not serious. Not serious at all. Just try to wink us with a lot of stories. You say, we start with the process of recruitment. And I said here before, if there's court orders, there's mentioning of tribalism, where you come from, there's Nanok being in the middle of the center of power, who will take over the IBC and all that, adding number of the list after Gazette notice, shortlisting period. All those, there's a lot of issues that went there. We know that that's not the IBC we wanted. But now we expect the rule of law. They're already in the office. But we cannot do away with the principle that they are not going to, we are uncertain that they are not going to deliver. If this IBC is serious, let that Wajir women rep be arrested on the statement he gave. If they are serious, let Sudi be arrested on the statement they gave. We want to rig this election. We know whether you like it or not, we'll make sure that we look for William Ruto votes here and there and add for him so that he become the next president in the second term. Let that Wajir women rep be arrested if IBC is serious. They go to court or they move to the DCI, a lot of investigation so that that lady to be arrested and brought to books, because that's a statement that can bring havoc to the country.
Indeed.
That's a statement that undermines the rule of law. That is a statement that undermines the will of the people in the democracy system. That's a statement that undermines our constitution in a developed constitution like ours. When we were going to the ballot to elect our leaders and somebody already predetermined the outcome of that election, that undermines the will of the people, the constitution and all that. So if the IBC is serious in this meeting, after this, let IBC go for that lady. Then we will see the IBC is serious.
All right.
Yeah. We cannot just ignore it like that. That statement is having weight. We cannot just
There's no room to ignore
like
that.
We cannot.
All right. So when you look at the perception on the independency of the Electoral and Boundaries Commission, and have we ever had a serious IEBC all the years that the commission has served?
The only time we had a serious IEBC, by then I don't think it was called IEBC, it was ECK, Electoral Commission of Kenya. It was in 2002 when Kenyans went out and they voted overwhelmingly for the third president, Moi Kibaki. And the current IBC, we've had disputes. We had in 2013 disputes before the court. We had disputes in 2017. We had dispute in 2022. The former Prime Minister Raila Odinga has always filed petitions. He claims that the IBC has always rigged in favor of the opponents. So the confirmation, the utterances by those in government right now, they actually make us doubt whether this IBC is even competent. You know, we saw when the former IBC chair Wafula Chebukati, when he passed on, a lot of Kenyans were celebrating. It's not something we encourage, but most Kenyans felt like he actually is at the center of the challenges that are facing the country right now. So we've all had issues with IBC, and actually the statements now, they make us even more worried about the future. IBC should be really neutral. The work of IBC is to count votes and to announce what the will of the people, what the people have decided. It's not to add votes to any other in an election. Has to change. The president should not be the appointing authority of the IBC. And he should not even be involved in the process of getting a chair of IBC. You know, IBC should not even be sworn in by the president or whoever. He should not be involved in that process. You know, it should be an independent process because it's called the Independent and Electoral Boundaries Commission. We really wonder whether it's independent. How independent is IBC? We all know what IBC has done before. So Kenyans are really vigilant, especially this time. You know, we are going to vote and we are going to guard our votes. We are going to assist IBC in its work. I don't think whether we are going to delegate that to IBC because there is a lot of mistrust. When someone comes and says that, you know, kama kura hazitatosha tutaongezea, you know, and that person, there is nothing being done to them because they are perceived to be close to the office on the hill. So all I can say is that IBC needs to put in a lot of effort in trying to convince us that they're going to hold a free and fair election come 2027.
You think they'll not?
But
the percentage is 30-70. 70 is on the contrary.
So what do you think?
I think we'll force the IBC to be free and fair. It's high time, as we talk of revolution, that this revolution will not have a boundary of religion, the culture, the tribe. People will come together with one goal, that let William Ruto's government go home. Once we put that in our mind, that we have one goal as Kenyans. You know, like in 2002, people are fed out with Moi government, no matter what. They came out and they vote. The gap was so big that even if the IBC in place at that particular time wanted to rig that election, it was very difficult for them to rig. I'm urging Kenyans, let us prepare. I'm urging young people, let's take IDs, let's have registers as voters. When the right time comes, let's come out together in big numbers. These people will come and see we cannot rig this election. It's difficult. If we get it, if they cannot get it right, we as the voters will have one common goal, and we get it right, we will be able to propel this country to a better future.
All right.
Just an addition on that.
Okay, please.
We had Duale, the CS for health right now, say about the northern parts of the country having tyranny of numbers, the true tyranny of numbers, you know. They're trying to counter the Mount Kenya tyranny of numbers. And there are claims of deregistration and cleanup of the voter register. And the Citizen TV, SK Masharia, during the burial of one of his friends, he said that he claimed that the register, which was going to be used for 2022 elections, was not the same register that was in possession by the IBC. I think he was on record saying that. And he had told Raila Odinga by then. So all this, if we join the dots, it really gives us doubts whether what kind of register is the IBC going to use, whether the registration is ongoing. And we are urging Kenyans now that the portal is open, please confirm your voter registration details. And let the IBC start recruiting new voters as soon as possible.
Indeed. All right. Let's embrace the previous conversation we were having. Of course, there is a concern on terrorism that now, of course, the protesters that were witnessed across the country on the inclusive part of terrorism. And what will be your suggestion on the same as Ruto will deal with these criminals perpendicularly and in the best way according to the law?
Ruto is just trying to enforce fears to the protesters, to young people. There's nothing government is having in plan to manage the security sector. If they cannot manage a handful of protesters, how will they be able to deal? Look at the people that are being arrested on terrorism.
Indeed.
People who cannot even have money to buy matchbox. People, you know, the government is a very funny. Our government is a very funny agency. When they are cornered, they have to come with something. They have to be creative. They are more of drama and they are more of the media. You know, they are TikTokers more than the agency that's supposed to lead the people, that lead the state. You know, this government is very funny. You know, when we were saying that, I was just laughing. People are being arrested of terrorists. Are people who cannot even buy a matchbox. Somebody who live
buy a gun.
Live below $100 in a day can buy a matchbox and being taken to the committee because of terrorists. I think government need to be very serious on this. I think Kenyans, we need to wake up and see that this government have lost direction. They have nothing to offer to Kenyan. They like more hula bulu of maybe march and all that. The other day I saw the head of state was going up here in Kilimani, and he was transporting people from Kawangware, women taking City Hopper to come and attend his function. I thought when those women are going there, there's something better will offer them. The president was very emotional, a lot of hunger, reckless statements and all that. Those are the statements that we hear, that we have terrorists in Kenya, and we are arresting terrorists in terms of peaceful protesters and all that. So let's be serious. I don't think that makes sense to serious Kenyans. They're just serious statements the government gives every day in day perspective. They don't have anything serious to manage the security.
Push time.
It's just pushing time. They want to come with something to counter that movement of Gen Z movement, revolution movement, demonstration and all that. There's nothing like terrorists.
So when there is that pressure towards terrorism, it means the Gen Z movement will now relax.
They now come something new so that we engage on something new. There's nothing. The government react on issues with a lot of emotion, lack of direction, lack of leadership. And you may think that they are delivering something. It's not. They're not delivering anything at all. Look at how is it in Ruiru? How they managed to that gentleman for DCP, a leader, a young leader, youth leader of DCP. They went there with a lot of guns, with the uniforms, and everything was terrorizing the court and all that. So they want that to trend so that we encounter the issues that has happened. We are not going to forget, because the government is pushing us to forget what we are doing. We are very focused on our course, and we are going to achieve it.
Indeed. Yeah. All right. And of course, in achieving the course, there is the Gen Zs, of course, are in the better position to start this, and they are, you know, creating a revolution to the betterment of the taste on the state of the nation. What will be your perception on mistrust, as far as now we want now the government to use us to, you know, quench some few things? What will be your view on the Mwananchi trusting the government that later on they'll support them in one or the other? Look, for instance, the police officer that shot the masked man. Now he's in a crisis, and silence becomes the talk of the day.
There's a lot of mistrust between the people and the government. This came about because the opposition was swallowed by the state. And when the opposition joined the state, you know, the people had to take up the role of opposition by themselves. And whenever the people took up the role, they went to the streets and they are trying to demand for better governance. You know, they are met with violence. So this kind of violence, and nowadays with the work of social media, people are able to follow up and see what is really happening. There's a lot of crimes against humanity. And you know, the role of the state, as I said, is to protect lives and property. So a state that cannot guarantee you protection, a state that cannot guarantee the protection of your property, then you cannot really have trust in it. And if you look at Fred Matiang'i, when he was speaking, he said that they are willing, or they are ready to restore public trust in government. So that whenever someone in government tells you something, you can go to bed and believe that by tomorrow it will be done. The president has always led this campaign, and he has been criticized for being a liar. Even Miguna said that well, you know, what the president promised him was just a lie like any other lies. It was on top of other lies. So a head of state should not tell lies.
Indeed.
By the time a head of state comes to address the media,
it's a serious
he
thing.
should be very sincere, and he should be very clear.
Indeed.
He should be very sure about what he's telling Kenyans.
All right.
So you cannot build trust, you know, where there is no truth, where there is no honesty, and where there is no goodwill.
Indeed.
You know, to work between the people and the government.
Sawa. As we try to come to a close, what do you think the law must, what do you think is the position of the law as far as the current happenings right in the Republic?
Law is audience of reason, according to the great St. Thomas Aquinas, the father of the church. In his definition of the law, he was very categorical and very clear. And the law is, according to him, the law is audience of the reason for the common good. Therefore, it can be adjusted, can be implemented, and it can even be done away with if it does not fit the necessary growth of the society and sustainability. So, our law was created on the basis of to make human beings, Kenyans, live a better country. So my urge is to the government, allow the institutions that are given mandates to operate within the law to do their job. You cannot say that National Police Service is independent and then you are ordered the police, let the court decide whether the person is guilty or innocent, and then the court will give us the way forward. So let the law be audience of reason. Let the law be there to work for the common good of the state, of the Mwananchi. Let it not be the father and the mother of the law to decide what the law needs to do, to dictate to people what the law needs to do.
Sibori, thank you so much. Give us now your power line, even as we come to a close, then we'll invite Maobe as well to give us your last remarks in regards to the current happenings, and of course,
in leadership, we need a better country, we need a better state. My request is to Kenyans, let this revolution not be infiltrated by the tribal, the religion, the regions, and all that. Let's come together with one common goal so that we be able to have a better future. And therefore, yesterday I watched Miguna, and I keep on telling people that if you want a better country, if you replace Matiang'i with Ruto, they are all the same because of rule of law. They have been tested. They are very arrogant. They are very dictators and all that. Yesterday, Miguna confirmed that among all these people, the person who can make us move forward is David Maraga, and he confirmed. But now it's upon Kenya to decide when the right time comes, whether they want to remain status quo, they want to retain the thugs that we've been having, or they want a better future. So it's upon Kenyans to decide. He put it very categorically. And this revolution, people, the people who have lost their life, their families, and wherever they are now, they should, if they wake up from those graves, they could, after 2027, they could see that what they fought for is achieved. That should be the desire. But we should not replace a thug by a thug, a dictator by a dictator. We should be able to focus and make Kenya have a better leader, change for the future.
All right, thank you so much, Sibor. Yes, Maobe?
I want to borrow words from Warren Buffett. He said that if you buy what you don't need now, you might be forced to sell what you need tomorrow. So we are auctioning our country with these PPPs and so on. And our economic situation is not doing well, especially as Kenyans. And I want to urge Kenyans that we are at a walk of an economic revolution. And in an economic revolution, there is no tribe, there is no gender, there is no religion, there are issues. So let us champion for the right issues as we envision on the betterment of the future of the coming generation. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Maobe Victor. Of course, CIC, Kenya Economic Freedom Fighters. Thank you so much, Sibor, our able political analyst. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Chief Justice Martha Koome says that Kenya belongs to all its 50 million citizens. The rights enshrined in our constitution are not the preserve of a few. They belong to every Kenyan. Kenya does not belong to politicians, the judiciary, the IEBC, or the police. No one has the right to trample on the rights of others. We hope for a greater tomorrow, even as we elevate the country to the betterment of the situation right here in the Republic. And of course, we also wish the protesters that were arrested in 2025, success in the endeavors right there. And of course, we expect that justice must be done. It is 55 minutes past 9 a.m. That is where we come to a close of this big conversation. We hope for the best across the entire week. Thank you so much, Amida. Thank you so much, Liz. And of course, thank you so much, Clara and Mish as well. And of course, thank you so much, my director, Sarah, for the tags right here. And I believe, of course, the betterment of the graphics. Thank you so much, Susie, for a good job. Well done. See you tomorrow as we check on our health. My name is Mosket. This is The Morning Drift.